Loops are everywhere in Python, but small mistakes inside them can create confusing bugs. In this video, we will fix 15 common loop mistakes using broken code, clear explanations, and improved versions. We start with two mistakes that come from treating Python counting like human counting. These are small details, but they cause missing values and index errors all the time. When you print numbered checklist steps, you usually want the numbers people expect to see. This code looks like it should print steps 1 through 5, but Python ranges stop before the second number. Now we run the script and look at the output. Let's break down why this happened. In Python, the stop value in range is not included, so range from 1 to 5 gives us 1, 2, 3, and 4, but never 5. Now we fix the loop by making the stop value 6. That tells Python to stop before 6, which means 5 is included. Let's run it again and confirm the checklist is complete. The better habit is to think of range, stop values as boundaries, not final printed numbers. When your output is human-facing and inclusive, write the stop value so the intent is easy to read. Here, 6 clearly means we want to include 5. Here, we want to show product names with nice one-based numbers for the user. The mistake is using that same number as the list index. Now we run it and watch where the output breaks. Let's unpack the bug. Python list indexes are 0, 1, and 2 for this list. The loop tries 1, 2, and 3, so it skips keyboard and then crashes when it reaches index 3. Now we fix it with enumerate. It gives us the product directly, and start equals 1 gives us the display number without touching the real index. Let's run the corrected version. The best practice here is to separate display numbering from list access. Use enumerate when you need both the number and the item. It keeps the loop shorter and removes the index mistake completely. Next, we move from counting to working with list values. Many loop bugs disappear when we stop using indexes we do not actually need. Here we are adding prices from a small shopping cart. The loop is index-based, but the body accidentally reads the first price every time. Now we run it and see why the total is wrong. Let's explain the result. The loop runs once for each item, but it always adds 12 because prices 0 never changes. The correct total should be 12 plus 8 plus 5, which is 25. Now we fix the loop by using each price directly. There is no index to mix up, and the code says exactly what we mean. Let's run the corrected version. The better pattern is direct iteration when you only need values. Use indexes for positions matching two lists or modifying by location. For a total, the value itself is enough. Now we look at a loop bug that feels confusing because the code does not crash. It silently skips data when the list changes during iteration. Here we want to remove inactive accounts from a list. The code loops over users and removes matching entries from that exact same list. Now we run it and check what is left. Let's explain the skipped user. When Ben is removed, Cleo moves left into the next position, but the loop has already advanced, so Cleo is never checked. Now we fix it by creating a new list with only active users. The original list is not being changed while the loop is reading it. Let's run the fixed version. The best approach is to build a filtered result when you are removing items by condition. It is easier to read, and it avoids position changes while the loop is running. Use this pattern for cleanup tasks like filtering users, files, or records. Finally, in this batch, we compare break and continue. One exits the whole loop, while the other only skips the current item. Here we need to report every unpaid order, not just the first one. Before the loop logic even matters, this code also shows a common Python typo. Booleans must be capitalized. We run it first, so the terminal shows the immediate problem. Let's separate the issues. First, Python booleans are true and false, not lowercase true and false. Second, break exits the entire loop. So after the first unpaid order, it would stop checking the rest. Now we fix both problems. We use Python booleans, and we use continue to skip paid orders while still checking the rest. Let's run the corrected loop and see all unpaid orders. The best practice is to use break only when one answer is the goal, like finding the first match. When every matching item matters, keep looping and use continue only to skip items that do not need work. Now we are looking at a small but very common continue bug. The mistake is not the continue itself, but putting important work after it. Imagine we process uploaded files and skip invalid ones. This code looks reasonable at first, but the counter and log message are below continue. Now we run it and the terminal says 2 files were processed, but 0 files were skipped. Let's break down why this happens. As soon as Python reaches continue, it stops the current loop iteration and jumps back to the next file. That means every line below continue is unreachable for invalid files. Now we fix it by doing the required work first. We increment the counter, print the skip message, and only then continue to the next file. Now we run the script again and the skipped count is correct. The better habit is to put counters, logs, and cleanup before continue when they belong to the skipped item. Use continue to leave the branch, but do not hide required work below it. Next, we move to while loops. The key question is simple. What changes so the loop can eventually stop? Here we are retrying a failed API request, but only up to 3 times. The bug is that attempt starts at 0 and never changes inside the loop. When we run it, the same retry message keeps appearing until someone stops the script. Let's look at the condition. Python checks attempts is less than max attempts before every iteration. Since attempt stays 0, that check keeps passing forever. Now we fix the loop by incrementing attempts inside the loop body. The update is close to the print, so it is easy to see how the loop progresses. Now we run it and it stops after 3 retries. The best practice is to keep the control update obvious and near the loop body. If a while loop depends on a variable, look for the line that changes that variable before trusting the loop. Now we focus on indentation. In Python, indentation is not style only, it changes when your code runs. Suppose we process daily sales and want one final summary. In this version, the summary print is still indented under the for loop. Now we run it and the daily total appears after every single sale. Let's focus on the indentation. Python treats every equally indented line under the for statement as part of the loop body, so this summary is not final, it is repeated work. Now we move the summary printout 1 indentation level. The loop still processes each sale, but the final total is printed only after the loop finishes. Running it now gives clean item logs and 1 final summary. The best habit is to check whether a line should run once per item or once after all items. If it is a final summary, align it with the for statement, not with the loop body. Next is an accumulator mistake. This one is easy to miss because the code runs, but the final number is wrong. Here we are summing invoice amounts for a customer report. The bug is that total is created inside the loop, so it starts over for every invoice. Now we run it, and the result is only the last invoice amount. Let's trace the state. On each pass, total becomes 0 before we add the current amount. By the time the loop ends, only the final amount is still stored. Now we initialize total once before the loop starts. Inside the loop, we only add the current amount. Running the fixed version gives the real customer total. The best pattern is initialize before the loop, update inside the loop, and read the result after the loop. Use this for totals, counts, lists, and other values that build up over time. The last example in this batch is a little more advanced. It appears when you create functions inside loops. Imagine we are creating callbacks for scheduled jobs. The code creates 1 lambda per job ID, but each lambda refers to the loop variable itself. Now we run the callbacks and all of them print job 3. Let's unpack the timing. The lambdas are created during the first loop, but they are called after that loop has finished. At that moment, job ID holds its final value, which is 3. Now we bind the current value using a default argument. Each lambda gets its own saved job ID at the moment it is created. Running the fixed version prints the expected sequence. The best practice is to bind loop values explicitly when creating callbacks, lambdas, or small functions inside loops. This keeps each function tied to the value you meant at creation time. Now we move into nested loops where small naming choices can quietly break the meaning of your output. This comes up when generating a multiplication table or processing rows and columns. I'm writing a nested loop, but I'm using I for both the row and the column. Now we run it and the output looks like a table, but the labels are already suspicious. Let's break down why this happens. Python does not create a separate loop variable scope for the inner loop. So when the inner loop finishes, I still has the last column value, which is 3. Now we fix it by naming what each loop really means. The outer value is row and the inner value is col. Now we run the script again and the row-column relationship is clear. The best practice here is simple. Use descriptive loop variable names when loops are nested. Names like row, col, user, order, or line make bugs easier to spot before you even run the code. Search loops are another place where a small indentation or misunderstanding can create noisy, wrong output. Imagine we are checking whether a username already exists. I write a loop and put else under the if, which feels natural at first. Now we run it, and the script says not found even though Leo is in the list. Let's unpack the result. The code is asking, for each single user, is this the target or not? That means Maya prints not found, Leo prints found, and Nora prints not found. Now we fix the search pattern. We break as soon as the target is found, and the loop else runs only if no break happened. Now the output reports the result exactly once. The best practice is to use for else only, when the meaning is very clear. Break means success and else means the loop finished without success. If that feels confusing for your team, a found flag is also acceptable. Input loops need especially careful exit conditions because a tiny comparison mistake can trap the user in the prompt. In a real command line tool, the user may type quit with a capital letter or extra spaces. I'm simulating those inputs here, so the example runs by itself. Now we run it, and the loop keeps going after a command that should have exited. Let's look at the comparison. The value is not just quit, it has spaces and a capital Q. Python compares strings exactly, so this condition is false. Now we fix the loop by normalizing the command before the comparison. Strip removes surrounding spaces, and lower handles capitalization. When we run it now, quit with spaces exits immediately. The best practice is to normalize user input before command comparisons. Do that once, store the normalized value, and use that value for your control flow. Next, we look at iterators, where the loop can silently consume data and leave nothing for the next pass. Imagine these records came from a stream or generator. I create an iterator and loop over it once for the first report, then try to loop over it again. Now we run the script and the second pass prints nothing. Let's explain the empty second pass. A list can be looped over again and again, but an iterator is a moving cursor. After it reaches the end, it stays at the end. Now we fix it by keeping the records as a list because this example needs 2 passes. Each loop gets a fresh iteration over the list. When we run it, both passes show the same records. The best practice is to be intentional about one-pass data. If you need only one pass, use the iterator directly. If you need multiple passes and the data size is reasonable, store the results in a list. Finally, let us clean up user-facing loop output, because numbering that starts at 0 can make reports look unfinished. This is a common report-style loop. Print a clean numbered list of tasks. I'm using a manual counter, and then some extra logic changes the increment. Now we run it, and the numbering starts at 0 and skips a number. Let's look at the mistake. The loop is doing 2 jobs, printing tasks and manually managing the visible number. Once extra logic appears, the counter becomes easy to update incorrectly. Now we fix it with enumerate and start equals 1. Enumerate gives us the display number and the task at the same time. When we run it, the report is clean and human-friendly. The best practice is to use enumerate with start equals 1 for user-facing numbered lists. Keep real data access separate from display numbering, especially in reports, menus, and logs. Now you know how to spot and fix the most common Python loop bugs. Like the video, subscribe to Dev Level Up, and comment what Python topic you want to debug next.